So the first step in handling problems is to determine who owns that problem or who should have responsibility for handling the problem. So if it's a parent-owned problem, with problems related to misbehavior, the parent as a leader in the family owns the responsibility for finding a solution. The discipline skills on the left side of that problem handling model, which I'm going to show you in a moment, can be used to find a solution in these cases. If it's a child-owned problem, there's a lot of problems that children encounter in their lives that aren't really the parent's responsibility. And these problems are owned by the child, and the child has the right to decide how to handle them. Of course, when our child owns that problem, we don't just ignore the situation or say, oh, it's not my problem. We're going to offer support and we're going to take that opportunity to teach problem solving skills and cooperation. And these support skills are going to be listed on the right side of the model. And if it's a shared problem, because sometimes these problems are shared by the parent and the child, in these cases, the parent can offer both support and discipline. So determining who owns the problem may be a more important part of solving the problem than you might first realize. Kids are very sensitive to their parents trying to control every aspect of their lives, and dictators take on too many of their children's problems as their own, and that creates this unnecessary power struggle and even rebellion. And then on the other hand, parents with this doormat style take on too few problems, and it leaves the child to struggle alone when a little cooperation could be a really valuable teaching tool. Active parents decide what to do by first determining who owns the problem. Is it the child, the parent, or both? So to determine who owns a problem, we can ask a couple of questions like, who is the problem behavior directly affecting? Like, whose needs or goals are being blocked? Who is raising the issue or making the complaint? That person usually owns the problem. And does this problem involve health, safety, or family rules or values? And if it does, then that problem belongs to the parent. Or is the problem within reasonable limits for your child's age and level of maturity? If it's not, then either the parent owns the problem or it is a shared problem. So we're going to look at this chart for some examples that are going to help you better understand the concept of who actually owns the problem. So this is kind of a situation: who owns the problem, why, and what to do. So if your children are being loud and rowdy at a restaurant, that's a parent-owned problem because the restaurant is a public place. The children's noise is disturbing other patrons and it's interfering with your enjoyment of the meal. So what do we do here? We discipline. When your child rides their bike on a busy street, that's a parent-owned problem because it involves the child's safety. It is the parent's responsibility to teach and enforce safety rules. Here we would discipline. If your daughter doesn't like her sister going into her room without asking, that is a child-owned problem. The siblings are entitled to have a relationship with each other without the parents interfering, and the sisters need to learn how to work together to get along. So here we would offer support for both children. If your child is complaining that their teacher is picking on them, that's a child-owned problem, unless that teacher is being clearly abusive. But these children, they have relationships with other adults, and they need to learn how to relate to them on their own. So we can provide support, but if it is abuse or another serious problem, we do need to intervene. If your child has a temper tantrum in the supermarket, that's a parent-owned problem. The child's behavior is interfering with the parent's goal of shopping as well as that of the other shoppers. Here we would discipline. If your 6-year-old is complaining that he's being picked on by 10-year-olds, that is a shared responsibility, a shared problem. It would be the child's problem, except that the age difference is making it beyond his level of maturity to handle. So we're going to provide support for the child and also intervention with the other children's parents. And if your child is not keeping up with their schoolwork, that is a shared problem because your goal as a parent of your child is being successful in school, and that is being blocked. But the school success is also the responsibility of the child. So we would support and discipline in that particular case. So, to summarize what we learned about these problems, one, the problems can be learning experiences. And when a problem occurs, we have to determine who owns it. And if the parent owns the problem, we need to use discipline skills. And if the child owns the problem, we use support skills. And if the problem is shared, we use discipline and support skills. But it doesn't matter who owns the problem, we're always looking for opportunities to encourage.